E aí, papai, o ninja do tijolo chegou, vamos embora, pega a visão.
Right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and we have lost a legendary investor. So RIP Charlie Munger. He did indeed spend a lifetime doing what he loves, playing the right and the long game. So take a look at this, right? Berkshire Hathaway. Unbelievable performance, to be frank. I didn't really want to cover this. I didn't really want to give my energy to this, but unfortunately, I've seen so many bad takes on this that I feel like somebody has to be the voice of reason. I really didn't want to. I have spent enough time saying how I feel about this guy over the year or year and a half I've had this channel. Let's just play the clip and...
Then they come in and say it's a security. Okay, well, what the hell does that mean if it's decentralized? How does Bitcoin register? Oh, but it's not. Then explain to me the fucking difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano and the rest of the gang.
Well, the difference is, Charles, that Cardano and Ethereum will have massive pre-mines and Bitcoin doesn't, okay? First of all, that's like the main difference. The second thing is nobody can change the base layer code of Bitcoin, whereas Ethereum, as we keep seeing over and over again, for example, can be forked at will. They can change the issuance schedule. They can change the overall supply of the coin. All of this is true of all of these, you know, rubbish coins that they keep making. So that's the difference. That's the main difference.
I'm 5 years old. Run the goddamn Howey test.
And when you run the Howey test, all right, Bitcoin passes, Ethereum and ADA clearly do not, okay? Don't even get me started on the fact that Cardano is social credit scores for kids. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, type in Cardano social credit scores for children into YouTube and watch Bitcoin University's video on that.
On it and show me the difference between the two.
This guy is either a moron or he's being disingenuous. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Is there an expectation of return with the goddamn orange pill moon boys? It's there. There's so many different planks and angles that you can take a look at this thing from. And by the way, if you subpoena and attack about 3 different entities, you could perform a 51% attack on Bitcoin because that's the way the hash power works.
Okay, so no longer getting the benefit of the doubt here. This guy's a moron, okay? That is not how the hash power works, Charles. You're supposed to know what you're talking about, okay? So I'm sure that my channel viewers, this channel's community is a lot smarter than most. I know that for a fact. I can tell that by the way the types of comments people ask and the types of debate and discussion people have. So I know most of you know the answer to this, but like I said, somebody has to be the voice of reason here since this has been unchallenged so largely, okay? Just because a large chunk of the Bitcoin hash rate comes from 3 or 4 mining pools does not mean they are able to use that to 51% attack the Bitcoin network, okay? There's a big difference between individual miners amassing that level of hash power versus mining pools amassing that amount of hash power. Mining pools are simply individual miners dotted all around the world that pool their hash rate into a single pool to have a better chance. So they cannot just subpoena it. They cannot redirect that hash power there. And I see so many altcoiners playing this clip on YouTube channels and going, ha, Bitcoin, not really decentralized. That's the only attack angle they have, and it's based solely on BS, okay? Learn the difference between pools and mining. Just because the pools amass a large chunk of hash rate does not mean that hash rate can be used to attack the network. And if it was to try to do that, then what would happen is the individual miners would detect the foul play. They would switch mining pools to protect their overall investment and the protocol that they're supposed to be securing. And the pool that had been trying and attempting to act maliciously would lose all credibility and all business, okay? You would not do this when your business is to operate honestly. You would not shoot yourself in the foot like this, even if it was subpoenaed, okay? Keep in mind, for a mining pool, the miners aren't even there. So how are you going to subpoena when the physical hardware isn't even on site, okay? The physical hardware is spread out throughout the whole world. It could be in my bedroom, for all you know, and I could pool it in one of these Chinese mining pools. So how are you going to subpoena it when the actual rig is in my bedroom in the UK, okay? How does this even work, okay? So what a tool, what an absolute doorknob this guy is. And shame on every single YouTuber that keeps playing this clip and then sitting back with their smug hubris and saying, told you, yeah, this is why you need to buy this Dogecoin. This is why you need to buy this dog coin. Oh, this is why this meme coin is going to flip Bitcoin. Your argument is, I've had enough. So in other news, moving on to better, brighter topics, okay, the Brazilian Bitcoin ETF now has over $100 million in assets under management. So this is bullish, okay? This is bullish and potentially a precursor to what we're going to see in the not too distant future once the US spot Bitcoin ETFs are approved. Whilst we're on this topic of ETFs, we have $800 billion Standard Chartered Bank say that the Bitcoin spot ETF approvals are likely to come sooner than expected. But having said that, the SEC made its decision super early on Franklin. They weren't due for a decision until January the 1st. Notably, Franklin is the only issuer who didn't submit an updated S1 yet, so I wonder if this has any impact. Clicking into this, you can see the deadline wasn't until the 1st of January, yet it has been denied a little over 4 weeks early. So the games are still being played despite these types of bullish headlines. But one thing we do know is whether it is in January, whether it is in March or April, or whether it's later than that, at some point we are going to get the spot Bitcoin ETF. And at this point, this has happened so many times that I don't think any real Bitcoiners could be truly surprised or disheartened by this. I found this and I thought this was absolutely fascinating. As anyone that's been on this channel will know, I have been very, very vocal about the people calling for 12K being mentally ill. Okay, and it turns out that while some of them are probably mentally ill, some of them are also most probably simply inexperienced, okay, simply new, simply rookies in the space, and we've all been there at some point in our lives and in our careers, right? This has just been confirmed because take a look at this. There are currently 4,500 Bitcoin in bids at 12K, but there's an average bid size of $70 per person. So that is who is championing the move to 12K. Imagine championing a move all the way down to 12K, putting severe technical damage on the chart that would likely be very, very, very difficult to repair and would likely take many, many years. Not to mention, we would have the Bitcoin price trading significantly below the minimum floor price to keep most of these miners up and running and profitable. Imagine championing that move, right? The destruction of that level of wealth, the setback of that level of adoption for the price of Bitcoin, just so you can buy $70 worth of Bitcoin. JJK, whoever that is, wink, wink, nod, nod, coming out with the alpha once more, okay? Take a look at this. For some reason, people often seem to get this wrong. I've made this point over and over again, that when the Fed funds rate moves to a pause, we usually get this final blow off top portion of the move, right? And we saw this back here again, up, and back here again, up, right before, of course, the Fed moves to cutting interest rates, and that is what catalyzes the big bear market in the stocks. The same is true here and here. You might be wondering, Camel, why aren't you paying attention to this one? Well, I think this is a bit of an anomaly. And whilst we did see, right, a flattening off and a move up, before then, of course, the cutting starts, and that's when we get this big crash. I actually think 2018 is a bit of an outlier. I've made this case before because what happened back here was the Fed started hiking rates and the market threw a taper tantrum all in here. And the Fed then said, okay, sorry, market, sorry, we didn't mean to upset you, we will fold. And then, of course, this whole thing here is the C19 plunge. So I think this is a bit of a spurious data point. The rest of them are absolutely true, though. And I do expect that since we're already starting to flatten off here, right, we've been paused, we're going to be paused in December's and probably January's meeting. It gives us that space, doesn't it, to complete the run to new all-time highs. As I've been saying over and over again, and as is the staple of this channel, the melt-up chart, what does it say right at the top of this arrow? Of course, it says, do they cut here? Why? Because we know historically, once they start to cut rates, that is good night, Irene, for the stock market. And I suspect Bitcoin is not immune from the downturn that we are likely going to experience here. I do also expect, on a side note, Bitcoin is amongst the first to recover, and I also expect gold and silver to enter their true bull market coming out of this crash. And even if we get, say this is the all-time high for gold and we are pushing right up against it, even if we get a breakout here and we start doing this, if we are indeed going to get a big cut-in cycle and the stock market and risk sell off, what I would expect to see is gold do something like this, right? And then, like I say, recover fastest and sharpest. So that will be a massive opportunity to load up. Anyway, one day at a time, as always. You know me, I don't like to get too far ahead of myself. The DXY is still doing dollar things, right? So it's still more or less following my arbitrary blue squiggle. And the euro dollar, look at that, right? We were talking about this the whole time. Why? Because the euro dollar makes up 57% of the dollar basket, right? The DXY, the euro makes up 57% of the DXY basket. So if this thing's going to break out, of course, that was going to pressure the DXY. We also saw a exact same shape chart out of the GBP USD. So the pound and the euro breaking out, moving higher, out of that yearly cycle low, of course, is going to pressure the DXY down. And of course, this is going to fuel risk assets higher. And that's what we've been seeing, right? So overall, happy days there. Look at this, okay? Let me move my yellow squiggle out the way. What have we got? Breakdown, retest, resumption, lower. Exactly as expected. So another happy days from your boy Camel. So here's Bitcoin, right? We got Bitcoin going on. And as you can see, Bitcoin doing Bitcoin things. So I was saying yesterday that what we really want to see out of Bitcoin is a push up immediately if we are going to run that 42k level before we roll over into that cycle low. Otherwise, the closer we get to the cycle low, the more likely it is that we start that decline. So far, so good. Can it get a follow through? Can we clear this level and make a quick run to 42k? The crypto-related equities look fantastic, don't they? Here's Coinbase. So long and strong continue to push. And same is true of MicroStrategy, right? Long and strong continue to push. Riot starting to look even better, and so is Marathon. So finally, these things are on the move, and just in time, really, because like I said, and have been saying, we need to see a bit of a squeeze so that we've got space to then pull back into that cycle low and go. Once we get there, it'll be time to add more positions again. And I'll explain this strategy of adding and stacking positions for the new subscribers when we get there, but there's no point doing too much all in one go. Stock market holding up pretty well, isn't it? So no real sign of a half cycle low shakeout, and it's still kind of holding up. Are we, I wonder, going to chop around here and then get that pull back into that cycle low and go? Maybe that's what needs to happen. I would think some level of pullback is coming. However, in the last violent portion of the blow off top, if that's what we're going to get and we are indeed going to run the all-time highs, then, you know, don't be surprised if mad things happen. Same is true of the Dow, right? So still no sign of a pullback. And like I've been saying, we're a third of the way to the measured move target and new all-time highs. So happy days there. VIX still sub 13, isn't it? So I wonder if we're going to get this play out. That is to be determined, of course. Russell 2K still following my red squiggle as well. Happy days there. So here's oil. I'm still short and I'm still strong, right? Unless we break out this downward sloping red resistance line, then I'm going to continue to push this short. So all in here is just no man's land for me. And if we get a move up and then something like this and a rollover and rejection, then we'll continue to push that short until it breaks out. So all the while it's contained under here, under this red one, then like I said, short and strong, continue to push. Gold in that neighborhood where it should start to decline into this cycle low. I wonder if we get that and then we can buy that cycle low maybe. Or failing that, of course, as I've been saying over and over again, the all-time high break still stands. I am not going to be surprised if it does this. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. But again, like I said over and over again, I don't know what's going to happen. I do think there's a bull market loading for gold and I do think massive numbers are coming. But I'm just not convinced until we get out of this all-time high break that it's time yet. Here's silver. Look at silver, right? Poking above this. So as of yesterday, no daily close outside this massive resistance line that goes all the way back to $50. But if we can get a daily close outside of here, then I will add a long here. And I like what I'm seeing out the silver miners, right? Look at this. We're getting into that neighborhood, aren't we? Where we could possibly see this thing break out. If this is going to happen, then this is something I want to respect. The senior miners, look, getting up into that final repair zone as well. So if we can get above that, again, it's a long and it has to be respected, really. My opinion on whether or not this gold move is for real doesn't really matter. If the chart breaks out, then that has to be respected from me. And the junior miners, look where they are, okay? This may well end up being a long from me today. So the long will look something like this if we can close a daily candle outside of this downward sloping blue resistance line at the top. So we've made the first repair, haven't we? Again, it doesn't matter what my opinion is. It doesn't matter whether or not I trust the gold move. If we're going to break out, then Camel needs to get long and see what the market will give. I've just had a quick flick through those members stocks and long and strong continue to push. Happy days. They all look fantastic, don't they? Even that one that was trading around sideways and break even is now starting to push off nicely. And I suspect is going to get very bullish very quickly. So happy days, long and strong continue to push. And if there's anything important to say, of course, I'll update you in a video. If not, then look out for the members only video at the weekend. But so far, I think all of those look absolutely fantastic. To everyone else, thank you for being here. Hope you have a great week. And until next time, take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.